feel like before we could let Jon Jones be a criminal because he was also like a very active, very good athlete.
No, he wasn't always active, bro. He was like literally always getting in trouble, getting steroid suspensions,
Yeah,
multiple steroid suspensions and USADA suspensions, then just straight
definitely.
up lays out time just not fighting.
Yep,
And then on top of that, like if you were to go back in the last 10 years of his career, he's probably only fought like 5 times.
I believe that. I feel like
And
early on his activity level was higher.
yeah, when he was like fucking coming up,
Yeah,
when he was like fighting like, Shogun and like all the fucking people that could probably weigh in at middleweight, you know what I'm saying? When
yeah.
he's fighting all them. And then, there was a big layoff, drugs, the picogram stuff,
Hmm.
then like legal
The
troubles,
fucking hit
all
and runs.
the hit and runs, dude, court, like possibly facing jail time, all this stuff. And all of it just put him off like longer, longer, longer. It's always every time he fights, it's like, oh, I'm coming back. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
Jon Jones is back. The fucking Jon Jones is making his return fight. It's like, dude, every fight's his fucking return fight, bro.
yeah.
It's like I'm fucking sick of it, dude. And I remember OSP was his big return fight, bro. Remember that?
That's crazy. I
Yeah,
forgot about that fight. Yeah.
OSP
Hmm.
was his fucking big return fight, and he looked like shit. And that was after the steroid accusations. He looked fucking
Yep.
terrible. And then against OSP, took him fucking to decision, bro.
He took everybody to decision at the end there, bro. It started
Yeah,
getting ridiculous where it was like Dominic Reyes went to decision, Thiago Santos went to decision,
with no
OSP went to
knees.
decision. Like,
Yeah,
what are we doing?
yeah, dude. So, um, I mean, there's going to be people that just automatically put him as a goat, but they're starting to do this thing with like Anderson Silva, where they're just like, oh,
Mm.
all he fought was like fucking plumbers and Uber drivers and
That's not
fucking
true at
and treasure.
all.
And I was like, bro, at the time, he literally like his first fight was against Chris Lieben, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't just fighting fucking slouches. He was fighting Forrest Griffin. He was fighting like fucking Dan Henderson, Rich
Hmm.
Franklin. He fought a bunch of really big fucking names, bro. And
Yeah.
I feel like Silva's starting to get to that point now where people that are new to the sport are watering down his legacy.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, but fucking Jon Jones is the fucking greatest of all time for beating Shogun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For beating Shogun and fucking Vitor Belfort, who's
Yeah.
like a lot of these people fight at middleweight.
Yep.
Thiago Santos fights at middleweight. Fucking Dominic Reyes. I feel like he lost that fight.
I think he did too. I think that was probably one of the closest fights where it was like, this is the one that we could go the other way and people wouldn't be shocked.
I was like, no, dude, no way, bro. He won that fight after seeing him get pieced the fuck up. It was like Juliana Pena. The
Yeah.
Juliana Pena versus Raquel Pennington fight where she was getting like head kicked, dropped multiple rounds, bro, and fucking
Yep.
she still ends up getting the decision. I was like,
Yep.
like what the
That
fuck?
was that was a robbery too. I remember being shocked when they read that decision. It was like,
I
no
remember
fucking
I
way.
I was at Ryan's house, bro, and I told everybody, I was like, bro, watch this. Hear me out, boys. Raquel Pennington did not do enough, and they're gonna give it to fucking Juliana Pena, bro. Watch. And
Dude,
everybody, I was like, she did not win that fight, but they're gonna give it to her. And everybody was like, no way, dude. And then sure enough, split decision, Juliana
brutal.
Pena.
Fucking brutal, dude.
I wanted to.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
The Stipe fight was very impressive to me. The
Yeah.
Serial Gone fight, like I really didn't see enough to be like too impressed. Like I was more disappointed in Cyril Gane's grappling
Yes.
than I was with Jon Jones. Like in that seated guillotine position, really all he
Yeah.
had to do was just fucking kick out his legs,
Yeah.
push on his hips, put his feet on his hips, bro.
Yeah.
Instead, he just sat there and got choked, bro. You
That
know what
was
I'm
a bad
saying?
one. That
Like
was that was
he's sitting
definitely
he's just sitting
yeah.
against the cage, bro. And Jon Jones is like, "Oh, I'm gonna choke you, dude." And the dude's like, "Oh no, I'm being choked." Like, and he's like, "Bro, his legs are right there.
Uh-oh.
You can kick his legs out, and he'll lose the choke. You can
Yep.
fucking put your hands on his hips, bro. Start,
I feel like he didn't
do
even try to
something."
fight the hands.
He didn't even try to fight the hand, bro. He just sat there, got choked.
That's
So
crazy.
that like it
No.
almost doesn't seem like a real fight to me. It just seems like he went in there and fucking folded.
Yep.
But impressive, I guess. But like,
Sure.
fuck it, I would much rather see Tom Aspinall go in there and defend his belt 3 times in the
Yeah.
fucking time span that Jon Jones has been holding up the division,
Yeah.
rather than see Jon Jones fucking just sit there and keep the whole division. Because it's not just Tom Aspinall he's holding hostage.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people at the top 5 that are waiting for something to happen so they can get their own fights booked. Like Curtis
Yeah.
Blades is like always a couple wins away from getting a title shot on. Like, as a lot of people, discredit him, but he's a very, very good fighter, good wins. He's always a couple
Mhm.
wins away. Has a win over Tom Aspinall,
Yeah.
um, even though it was the injury. But fucking Jailton Almeida is on a good streak right now.
Mhm.
He just got another win. So all of these people really have legitimate claims to be fighting for the title shot while Jon Jones is kind of just dicking around in Thailand. And I think I probably like was chill about it for like a long time because I was like, all right, respect the fight, respect his legacy, all that
Sure.
stuff.
Mhm.
But like at the end of the day, dude, we're just fucking stalling up the heavyweight division. He's at this point, he's taunting the fans. There's that petition. I don't know
Dude,
if you've seen that petition from
20,000
Tony.
signatures as of today.
It's almost at 25K. I'm pretty sure it's at 25K now.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But to strip
It's
Jon Jones
ridiculous. It's
and
ridiculous.
to be honest, I hope fucking that starts making some waves. I want to see 100,000 signatures on that motherfucker,
I
bro.
would love to see that shit.
I would love
If
to
we
see
got
that, bro.
100K on that, easy.
Yeah, if we got 100K on that, bro. If we can get up to like, imagine we got more people that watched his last pay per view against Stipe to sign the petition. Like the official pay per view numbers on ESPN
Yeah.
Plus, it's like probably like what fucking 400K.
Oh.
Imagine we match it, bro.
Match it in signatures to strip him.
Yeah, yeah, get
Dude,
fucked, dude.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It is just kind of a dick move, just all the way around, right? Where it's like, now we've started to fuck with somebody else's potential to make a career and a legacy of their own. Where
Mhm.
it's like Tom Aspinall, sure, if you sit out 6 months or a year, it's like, okay, fair enough, whatever. This is potentially the biggest fight of all time. If I beat Jon Jones, that cements me forever in history. But then there's always going to be the asterisk of, oh, well, it was old Jon Jones and it was heavyweight Jon Jones. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. It's still Jon Jones. And I would wait 6 months to a year for that. I think that makes sense. I think Aspinall's kind of justified in holding out on that. It
As far
sucks
as
that,
money wise.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it sucks that, he had to sit out during that time. And it sucks that he had to be the interim champ. But now it's gotten to this point where it's almost like the fight's never going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. Jon knows it's not going to happen. And he's just doing it to fuck with Tom Aspinall. And it's starting to get into like that. All right, well, now Tom Aspinall's, coming out with this whole like mental health thing where he's talking about how mentally unwell he's been. Maybe this is him trying to get Jon to finally come back. He's like, oh, see how mentally unwell I am, blah, blah, blah. Either way, I would imagine, yeah, if you're a professional athlete and you don't get to play your sport for 2 years, and not because you're injured and not because, you didn't get signed, you're the fucking best at it and you still don't get to play just because some other guy said he's not gonna.
Mhm.
Like, I would imagine as an athlete and an athlete at that level, when it's your entire life that you've dedicated to it, that you've just wasted almost 2 years of.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's like 30,
awful.
31, 32. These are the, prime years,
Yes.
like
Peak
athletically. And
athletic career
when you
right
think
now.
about like Tom Aspinall's strength, it's not
Yes.
like he's entering with like the cleanest footwork and all that. He blitzes in using his speed, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a really big factor in like why he's so effective.
Yeah.
But that's stuff that's gonna eventually be the first to go, is that speed and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, you know, he's losing some really crucial points in his career where he could really be making that like generational money. I mean, fighting
Yes.
Jon Jones, that paycheck is going to be fucking massive. So, I mean, I can see why it's like one Jon Jones fight could be like 5 other just
Yeah.
like no name heavyweight title defenses.
Yeah.
So I can see why he would wait. And to a point, I don't even think he wants to wait anymore.
Yeah.
I think he's like, yo, dude, just strip him, give me the unified belt, I'll defend it. And then if he wants to come back, just give him the shot. I'll beat the fuck out of him like real quick.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like that's how it should be at this point. But I think Jon Jones is even okay with that. He's like, yo, dude, just
Mm-hmm.
give him the fucking belt. I'm gonna do my thing, and then I'll come back. I'll get the title shot. I'll do it again. And then
Is he okay
if
with
that,
that though? I
I
don't think
don't
he's
know, man.
okay with being stripped.
I
I
mean,
don't think Jon
he
Jones
did
is gonna
he
be cool
did
with that.
he's been stripped like 4 times, bro. Like, I mean, he has to be okay with it by now. Like, he's been stripped quite a few fucking times.
That's fair.
So, he's been like legit stripped like 4 times. So
Yeah.
I think now he should be used to it and he should understand it's like, yo, when you're dicking around with the promotion for this long and you're not really giving us anything, like right now, what I feel like is going to happen is either they're going to fucking just announce the date in November, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and we're going to have to
Yeah.
fucking wait all the way till then. Because it's like at this point, bro, all the other pay-per-views are booked up like
Yep.
till September now.
I believe so.
With Volkanovski versus Yair being the
Oh
UFC
fuck.
no card. But it's like Jon Jones is not going to go headline in Mexico or anything like that.
No.
So now we're looking at, October,
321,
yeah,
322. Yeah.
October, November, all that shit. Shit sucks. So,
It's weird. I
especially since Tom Aspinall always fights, like his fights always end so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like realistically he could fucking be signed up for another fight within like, a couple weeks after his
Yeah.
last performance. Like, just knock out Sergey Pavlovich, knock out Curtis Blades real quick, fucking right on to the next one, man.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need to cut weight. He's a heavyweight,
Yep.
you know, just hop right back into it. It's like, all right, I want to be on this card right now.
Yeah.
Um, at this point, it's like you're making up for lost time.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing, right? Is then it comes down to the question of, does Tom Aspinall defend the interim title? Like, is that worth him doing? I know
He already
he's already
has.
done it once, right?
Mhm.
But like, should we continue to defend an interim belt?
No,
Like, at some point, either he doesn't fight, which is what's been happening, or strip John, give him the belt, have him defend for it, give John a title shot. I like that.
I
That
don't know
makes
why
sense.
John didn't win the lineal heavyweight belt either. He won a belt that was a vacant belt. So,
Yep.
and I want to say Tom already had a belt too.
Hmm.
Francis Ngannou, vacated, and I want to say that Tom and fucking Sergey fought for the vacant belt as well.
Okay.
And then I don't know where the fuck Jon Jones like versus Cyril Gahn fits into it. Like why there was always two belts going on. It was pretty fucking stupid, and why they were always avoiding like the fight with each other.
Yeah.
Um, the timeline is just so fucking messy at this point. But at this point, like you can't really count John as like the undisputed champion. They should count it as if they both have two halves of the belt. Like that's how it
Hmm.
should be. Like if
Yeah.
there's an champion, like that means that both champions essentially are half champion, and
Sure.
it's like what I'm saying.
I guess
Like
do
you
it
don't
like a
get him
boxing thing, right? Like a
until it's
WBA
unified.
versus WBC, yeah, versus unified. I mean, I
Until
guess
it's
that's kind of where
unified.
we're at.
Yeah, and it's getting so fucking stupid. And Dana White has always been like so vocal about how stupid it is when that happens in boxing.
Yeah.
But it's like you're letting it happen to your own sport, bro, while you're over here fucking around with power slap and
Dude,
all this other stuff,
I
and
don't I
just
don't
like,
I don't get it. I think Dana wants the sport to die.
yeah,
Like
dude.
genuinely, I'm at this point
Mhm,
where I think Dana is so fucking tired of it, I guess.
mhm.
He doesn't like it anymore. I don't know. Maybe he sees that there's not enough money in it and there's more money to be made with like boxing in Saudi Arabia, I guess. Like if that's the case, fucking go do that, right? Like chase the bag. Nobody's gonna question you on that. You're Dana White. Like go do your thing, but don't tear down the shit you built on the way.
You know what I was thinking too? It's like since we're kind of bringing up the topic of Dana
Yeah.
White going into boxing,
Ugh.
um, what is Dana White like always stated that he fucking hates when it comes to like fighters? It's always like the walkouts, it's always the
Mm-hmm.
custom shorts, it's all that stuff. And boxers are like known for that type of pageantry. Like that's part
Yeah.
of the boxing experience.
It's
And
part of it.
I could actually see that being like a major point of why he got fucking like essentially kicked off of being promoted from the
Mm-hmm.
Canelo Terrence Crawford fight. Um, because Dana White was they were probably talking about entrances and walkouts and costumes and all this stuff, like very very like things that like goes into the boxing pageantry,
Yep.
and Dana White was probably like, no, we don't got to do none of that, blah blah blah. Like
Let's
get the
do it in
fucking
the apex.
we'll do it in the Apex, bro, and we'll do it on Fight Island, brother, and we'll run the Burger King commercial 6 fucking times a row,
Yeah.
and this is how we'll do it, and they just like laughed at him and told him to get the fuck out.
Dude.
But it's just like just things like that, bro. It's like, are you gonna have all of these boxers on under your promotion all wearing fucking like Reebok fight kits and shit like that and fucking
If it
denim
was
fight
his
kits?
way, dude, they'd all be like black corner, white corner. That's it.
Exactly.
Same shorts
You're not gonna let Canelo and Terrence Crawford have like a very sick walkout where there's a very famous like Mexican artist walking out with Canelo singing
on a
with the
horse.
mariachi band. Yeah, on horseback, dude. And then Terrence Crawford comes out with Kendrick Lamar like on the fucking in the what's it the GTX.
Yeah, dude, the Buick, the Grand National.
Yeah. So, it's
Absolutely.
like they're probably talking about that shit, and Dana White was like, "What the fuck y'all talking about, dude?" And then they're just like, "Dude, get out of here, dude. You're lame as shit.
Yep,
You don't know how to
dude.
fucking hype people up anymore."
Yep. And he hasn't,
Hmm.
right? Like, I really, to me, the thing that's been the most baffling is power slap, right? Like, I think we've all joked about it at some point or another. I know we fucking put it on a tier list at one point and put it as
Hmm.
low as we possibly could, right? Like, I don't get the hype. I think what it ultimately boils down to is power slap gets the most traction on social media. It's the
Hmm.
shit the influencers are posting about if they're not posting about their own fucking boxing promotion that some Twitch streamer made last week.
Hmm.
Like if it's not that, it's power slap and it's just these big fucking hairy dudes slapping the shit out of each other. One dude fucking eyes rolled back, stiff neck, fucking
Yeah.
hits his head on the ground. Like it's the same shit over and over and over again. And it gets to this point where it's like, why are we even putting effort here if there's nothing to gain? And there must be, right? It must be traction in some way.
It's probably his own thing, bro. And I just know that like power slapping as like a sport or like a spectacle was just so big on YouTube like
Mm.
years ago before Dana White got involved.
Dude, Slap
And like there's
Mountain,
yeah, Slap Mountain,
Slap
Moist
Mountain,
Moist Critical and all that would always do
mm-hmm.
videos like breaking down all the biggest slap fights. And that's
The
where all of
Russian
the
power slap and stuff.
exactly, and that's where
Yep.
all of Dana White's, top guys all came from. Like you could have seen them, kind of go through the amateur circuit on Moist Critical's YouTube fucking
Yeah,
channel.
yeah, yeah.
Like Crazy Hawaiian was on there, Papa was on there, Dumpling was on there. All these
Interesting.
people, yeah, all these people were like doing power slap like 5 years ago before Dana White made it a thing
So it's
and
like
tried to like
internet culture adjacent already.
yeah, dude. I remember being like super deep into it, like
Yeah.
when it like probably like when Moist Critical was like reacting to it on YouTube
Okay.
channels and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's real like deep YouTube knowledge and shit like that. But dude, I think Dana White just saw like the appeal of it and it was like, oh man, it's like discovering like an idea that was good 10 years ago and trying to make it cool and hip now.
Yeah.
Super lame. I don't like how it's like they're trying to make a sport out of it. It should always be in like a barn or like a warehouse, bro.
Just some
There
dude's
needs to
house.
yeah, some dude's house, someone's backyard, in
Mm-hmm.
front of a chain link fence, like all of these things kind of go into that. And
Yeah.
Dana White is just like, it was like, oh, we're gonna have it at the Apex, and we're gonna have you guys wear jerseys, and we're gonna have like an official table. It's like, no, dude, it should be a wooden fucking table
Yeah.
in a fucking sketchy warehouse. There needs to be a dude that's on way too many steroids and is all fucked up, like in the corner
Mm-hmm.
over there.
Yep.
There needs a dude with a fucking face tattoos and a Conor McGregor fight kit, like on there. You know, yeah, that's
Dude, some
like what
street
power
beefs
slap
type
makes.
shit. We need some
Exactly.
street beefs.
If you like, don't bring me to a circus, bro, and take all the clowns away and put a bunch of fucking, just normal bozos in like suits there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm
Yeah.
going to a circus, I want to see some clowns. I want to see some circus stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
And
know?
that's all power slap is a circus.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
A
Dude.
tangent kind of want to go on though.
Yeah.
Fucking King of the Streets has been popping off
Dude,
lately,
King of
bro.
the Streets has been so fucking.
King of the Streets has been fucking going crazy lately,
Yo,
dude.
King of the so
The
I've had like
Matador, dude.
I've had a love hate relationship with King of the Streets because I remember tuning in back when they did the hockey fights. Did you ever see
Mhm.
the hockey fight on the fucking
Where
ice
they're on the
rink,
ice, yeah.
bro? I remember those, and then I remember before that they did one that looked like it was just in some fucking like parking lot in London, and it
Mhm.
was the yellow fence, and it's that really awful soccer kick knockout that happened. Like I remember that King of the Streets where it was like, holy shit, this is kind of fucking rough. Like I'm watching
Yeah.
assault. And then like they did the hockey fights and I was good on all that. Like bouncing head off of ice is a bad news, not into that. But like recently, the
Recently,
production value is
the
so
production, yeah. Yeah, no walkouts, dude, just like some crazy like opera music, dude.
dude.
And
And it's
then
just too fucking they just pick you and you're fucking next
you
and you're
square
in
up.
a in a fucking bull ring.
Yeah, the Matador Coliseum was
Bro.
fucking tough,
Did
dude.
you see the one before that where they were just in like a fucking it was either a construction site or like some crazy weird ruins?
No.
Dude,
No,
It's
I
the
haven't
one
seen that
right
one.
before the bull ring, and they're just in like this fucking. It's like a dirty square, and
Mhm.
it's just big concrete walls like all the way around them, and they're in like an abandoned construction site or some shit.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Like, I feel
Dude,
like King of the Streets is about to turn into like Tekken. You know what I'm saying?
we're getting real
Like,
close.
we're getting real close to Tekken. It's like, yo, like we got this place in the Amazon in the jungle, dude. We're gonna have y'all fight there.
Dude, we found
It's
a
like,
jaguar guy there.
yeah, yeah. It's like, yo, there's a shaman in the background, you know. But yeah, the bull ring was sick.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was a good example of like how the memes of Joe Rogan always saying he wants the fight to take place in like a soccer field with no walls.
Yep.
Dude, a matador ring, dude, with enough room to move, you kind of see where how a fight takes place without the
Yeah.
fucking cage walls.
And
So that was
interestingly enough,
cool.
you really only need like 5 feet.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
most of those fights never extend a basketball court. Like that's crazy to me. If
I
you're
only saw
fighting
one. I only
and you're
saw one where the dude backed up to the wall, and it was I think he was a Polish dude.
interesting.
It was the
Huh.
Polish dude, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check that
Mhm,
one. I don't think I saw that one. But yeah, like I don't know. Like looking at the
mhm,
history of what I've seen of the King of the Street stuff, it's like it's never expansive. And that's
mhm,
like a true street fight, right? They're like fucking spit blood in your eyes, fucking gouge your eyes out, fish
mhm.
hooks. Like
Pull
it's
your
all
pull your
legal.
fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're
it's
going
all
for,
of it.
like, submissions, they can, like, do joint manipulation, so
Dude.
you can't just, like, lock up your hands, they can, like, bend your fingers back like,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
could do in a real fight.
Headbutts. Like
Headbutts.
all sorts of I think the only thing you can't really do is like fucking bite each other.
Yeah, biting, and I've seen the eye gouges
I've
too, and
seen
that's
eye
crazy.
gouging.
The
There's
eye
been a
gouges
couple
need to
knockouts via eye gouge, bro.
yeah,
It's
they need to calm
nasty.
down with that, bro, but
That
a lot of damage, but, the fights have been sick, like, it's not like they're
yeah.
just getting some fucking bozos there, like,
No,
these
they're
people know how to
trained
fight.
people for sure.
There's some really good kickboxers on there,
Yep,
you know what I'm saying? They're fucking tough dudes, bro, tough
dude.
dudes. Really, like, I'm stoked, man, I'm actually fucking stoked for, like, street beef
Dude,
stuff, like
I'll be completely honest. I think if King of the Streets does another like hour and a half long fight like they did with the hockey fights or something like that,
mhm.
I'm watching that before I watch Yair versus Volk too.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
like, it's to the point where it's like, dude, there's even been times where I would have rather watched, like, the karate combat stuff instead of, like, a Apex Fight Night card,
Dude, you
you
know
know what
I've
I'm
been
saying?
talking about karate combat forever, bro.
Yeah, man, karate combat they have some bangers on there sometimes I
Hmm.
really like what the new owner is doing
Yep.
with the promotion, he's
Yeah.
really good on social media.
Hmm.
He's making all the right moves, man. He speaks
And
very
he's in the
well.
industry, right? He's the head coach of the Goat Shed.
Goat Shed in Miami, yep.
Yep. So
Yeah,
like
man, he's
the dude is
smart
in the
man. He's smart as
industry.
fuck.
Yeah, and it's Boss Rutan and George St. Pierre both very involved, and obviously
Mhm,
they're both legends of the sport, and obviously more on the karate side. Really love kind of the more traditional stuff. They picked up Robin Black, so he does all of like their fight breakdowns now, which is super sick
yep,
if you're familiar with him. Doing like
mhm.
all the 1 minute breakdowns and shit. He's always been super knowledgeable, and I think it's cool to have like some social media figure like that that's been such a student of the sport for so long, like
Yeah,
be in
Robin
it
Black
now.
Yeah, Robin Black has always been that dude that's like in like The Last Samurai, he's like that nerdy journalist that like takes all the
Absolutely.
pictures, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He takes all the pictures and like documents everything.
Yeah, dude.
And like, yeah, that's Robin Black for sure because he knows his shit, bro. And
He's
he
very
knows how to
good,
like
and
break
he
things down.
used to fight. He had a
Mhm.
professional career, and I
He had
think
a
he
couple
was a rock
fights.
star before
Yeah.
that. And so, like,
Yep.
bro's been doing it for a long time, and he's been doing all sorts of cool shit.
He gets real philosophical on us sometimes, and that's where he
Yep.
loses me a little bit, where
Oh
he
no, I
starts to
love
go
that shit,
woo
dude. Where he starts talking about the koi fish in the pond when he's having
woo.
somebody doing a striking breakdown. That shit's the best.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
love
man.
it, dude.
So, yeah, dude. I think there's a lot of good MMA promotions that are like, starting to get some traction right now that like PFL
Hmm.
is, losing theirs and Bellator's gone now and it's
Yeah,
kind of like in this weird spot. And then GFL is like a big mystery. What the fuck's going on there?
dude.
So there's a
I
big,
I feel bamboozled a little bit by GFL, dude. There's a part
we
of me
spent a lot of
that
time.
that's feeling a little bamboozled, but
Yeah.
I hope it, out of nowhere, they're like, actually, January 1st, 2026, we're doing it on New Year's Eve. Main
Mhm.
event's going to be still Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Dennis.
Oh man. Like at this point, I don't even care about GFL anymore, bro.
No.
We should have known it was over when they fucking did that AI video of all the fighters in Power Ranger outfits, bro, and
Oh, man.
fucking dressed like fucking cartoon characters, man.
Dude. That was worse than Fire Festival, bro. They
Mhm.
scammed us all. They
They
scammed us
did.
all with that one.
I didn't pay, but I feel robbed, you know what I'm saying? I didn't
Absolutely
pay
feel
anything, but I
robbed.
feel robbed. Um, Yeah, man. I feel like the UFC, they're fucking up a lot of matchmaking right now. It's really hard to be like a UFC fan at this moment.
Dude, I'm
There's
struggling with it. Like,
there's so many like awesome fighters that I want to see right now. I think the only light at the end of the tunnel for me is fucking Hamza versus Dricus.
yeah,
That officially being announced and on the books, but that's so far away in Chicago. It's like fuck, and before then, it's going to be a little rough.
yeah.
I'm not really stoked for the upcoming pay per view with Marab and Sean O'Malley. I don't
I
really like the rematch. You know what I'm saying?
It'll be
But
all right. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
but ultimately, man, I feel like there needs to be some fucking serious changing to the matchmakers, bro.
Dude.
Because I feel like doing Yair versus John Silva, or not, yeah, Diego Lopez versus John Silva, like they're
Mhm.
talking, and then Mozart versus fucking Aaron Pico.
I don't fucking get that. Why are we putting the number one contender that's been the number one contender, has beat previous champions? Why are we putting him against the fucking Bellator guy?
That would
Meanwhile,
he probably got
Yair just beat a Bellator guy to get a title shot.
dude. It makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense because Yair is essentially on a one fight win streak right now.
Yeah,
Movsar's he's like 9-0.
yeah.
Beat a lot of title contenders, beat a lot of guys in
He
the
beat
top five.
Aljamain.
He beat Arnold Allen. He beat
Yeah,
Diego Lopez. He beat, and granted, not the most entertaining fights in the world.
no.
He is really fucking boring to watch.
But if we're talking
But
about worthy of the title shot,
yeah, dude. But this is me putting aside like my own personal preferences on fighters that I find entertaining, aside to
yep,
just be like, yo, Movsar kind of deserves the title shot right now. Like he's
yes.
lame as fuck to watch, just like Bilal Muhammad. It's
Hmm.
like, yo, dude, he's lame as fuck to watch, bro, and he's fucking a grappler, bro. That's just gonna smudge you and like stall in certain positions, and he's not
Yeah,
gonna put on entertaining fights. But he's beat a lot of top guys. He's earned his
yes.
shot. He stays in shape. He's very disciplined. He always comes in ready to rock, dude, and fucking they're hoeing him.
Yeah,
And
it's a big problem because it's one of those clear number one contenders where it's an easy fight to do because it gets it out of the way, right? Like even if you don't like Evoloyev or Ivloyev, it puts the number one contender in the spot, and either he wins or he loses, but at least it's over now. If you don't like him
mhm,
and you think he's going to be boring, and even if it is a boring fight, at least it's done now.
yeah,
Like
dude.
it's tough when it's that obvious who it's supposed to be because the rest of the division has kind of been in shambles for a little bit now. I mean, after
Like if
Ilya vacated, Volk getting a title shot again was cool. I don't know that Diego Lopez made a ton of sense, but I know they were talking about that, so it was like, cool, let's do it. But now we're kind of back where we started, and we're not making the matchups that should be happening at that division.
Bro, I'll tell you a good way to just match up all those dudes right now.
Let's do
That
it.
would have made so much more fucking sense. You
Yep.
do Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy. If you want to give Aaron Pico, he has a lot of potential, very skilled Bellator guy. He
Yeah.
got knocked out a lot, but he was young, inexperienced, and he was essentially just becoming like a stud wrestler that was also a Golden Gloves boxer.
Yep.
Giving him really hard competition. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like right now he's going to be a really hot prospect. You give him Lerone Murphy if you're going to give him somebody that's in the top right near the title picture.
Yeah.
So you give Lerone Murphy. You give fucking Movsar the title shot because he's fucking earned it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And another thing too is that's a really good fight for Volkanovski too to build his legacy. It's not like it's favoring one fighter or the other. Like either of them, if like it's going to be an easy fight for Volkanovski to get this boring fighter out of there,
Yeah.
and it's going to be better for Volkanovski's legacy. Or if Movsar win, it's going to cement him as a rightful champion.
Yeah.
Um, and then you do Diego Lopez versus Yair because they had that beef at the last press
Yes.
conference.
Culón.
Oh.
¿Culón?
Oh.
Dímelo. Culón.
Yo,
Eres
wuss.
culón, ¿sabes por qué eres
Oh.
culón? No le pegaron a Diego entre tú y tu equipo.
Say it to my face.
No le pegaron a Diego no le pegaron a Marco entre tú y tu equipo.
Escucha.
Le pegaron a Marco entre tú y tu equipo, ¿sí o no? Esperando el momento correcto estaba para decirte esto en tu pinche cara, loco.
Oh, we were
Tú me
waiting
las
for
vas a
it.
pagar a mí por Marcos, güey.
And you
Y
guys
si me pelas la verga, güey.
find me.
And it makes total
And
sense for Guadalajara. Why wouldn't you do
mhm,
two Mexican fighters that are both pretty
well,
big prospects?
one
I get
Brazilian
yes,
trained.
fair. Just
So
reps
I
Mexico.
yeah, so you do Lopez versus Yair as
Mhm.
Yair's being the hometown hero. I can kind of see why they don't want to do that because they don't want
Sure.
to split the Mexican fan base up from Diego Lopez because they're going to be forced to pick and they're going to pick the guy that's from that area.
That's
You know
fair.
what I'm saying? Diego Lopez is
Hmm.
from Brazil at the end of the day. Like he trains in Mexico, all that stuff. He probably has a lot of Mexican friends.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but I mean, like I feel like that's why they kind of like use that excuse kind of deal
Yeah,
to not make that matchup. And then, yeah, dude, like I feel like that's really fucking easy matchmaking right there.
you would think so. You would think
And
so.
then, John Silva, I do feel like he deserves like a one more fight before he fights for the title, dude.
I think
I
so.
just
I think with the way
I
that
don't
he
want him to
handled
fight
Bryce Mitchell, there's no
beat the
reason
fuck out
for
of him.
him to not have a top 5.
Like I would love to like if you're gonna not give Mobzar the shot, bro, why wouldn't you do John Silva versus Mobzar Evil anyway?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's a
that's
good
a
one too.
true, number one contender kind of knockout round.
Like Aaron Pico kind of like hopping in there for Mozart is kind of fucked up, and I feel like they're just like they want that fight for some weird reason for Aaron Pico,
Yeah.
and Mozart is like kind of being pushed up against the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you know how the UFC be strong arming certain fighters. Other fighters, bro, they let them fucking chill and do whatever the fuck they want, and then like some like foreign fighters, bro, like Mozart Evalev. I'm sure Armin Sarukian's getting dicked around right now.
Yep.
They just the matchmakers just fucking hate on him, bro.
It's interesting. And I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one too with the Aaron Pico fight, just from the standpoint of like, I don't know. We didn't give Pitbull this high of a shot when he came over. I don't know that I would say that Aaron Pico has more cred from Bellator than Pitbull does.
Absolutely not. Pitbull was a
So
champ, bro.
yeah.
And Pico
So
never got within the title contention.
right. So why are we giving Pico essentially a number one contender fight?
Probably because they see a lot of value in his potential. And here's another thing I was thinking about too. He's probably coming in at a shitty contract, really shitty for
Yeah.
what he could probably get paid in other promotions if MMA was like a healthy
Yeah.
like there was a lot of different promotions paying competitive rates. But I feel like if it's a win-win for the UFC, because if Aaron Pico comes in and loses, that
Yeah.
means that they can negotiate lower pay. Be like, oh, you know what, you couldn't hang, what I'm saying, we don't got to pay you more. Comes in, wins, is like, oh, okay, they use that as the carrot. It's like, okay, we're gonna only pay you 45 and 45 or 85 and 85, whatever.
Yeah.
And then but we'll give you Movzar, and then you can use that clout, to negotiate more pay type of deal. So there's probably some shit like that going on behind the scenes. And that way, if Aaron Pico loses, they can kind of get away with keeping such a hot prospect. Because regardless of what you think about Aaron Pico, like as far as floating free agents, he's one of the best ones,
Yeah.
Especially from Bellator, he's one of the most entertaining fighters. So, this is probably them either locking him down for like low pay if he loses,
Yep.
or fucking getting him up there, and he's going to be a name for highlight reel KOing Movzar Evalev.
I mean, maybe he's definitely had a couple of those, and I like Aaron Pico. I think he's got a lot of potential. He kind of had a couple slip ups in Bellator where he came out really hot and then stumbled a little bit, but I think overall,
It's always flip kickboxers.
yeah,
Flip
it could be
kickboxers are his
cool for the
kryptonite.
division though. I mean, it's new people. I always like new people in the division, especially if it kind of shakes things up. But I don't know, man. It gets
It's
weird when you
fucking bummer.
start adding people in for title shots, and they've done that a couple times recently, especially with like the flyweight division. They brought in was that Tatsuo or Kyle Sakura?
Kyle Sakura.
He came in, never had a fight in the UFC, but let's give him a title shot real quick.
Yeah, because he has like 4 million followers on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like a stud in Japan. Yeah, dude. I mean,
it's interesting.
I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, dude, but it's just like it doesn't seem like anything's kind of going in the right direction as far as like matchmaking wise. I feel like they're making a lot of like weird decisions.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're letting certain fighters get away with like chilling and fucking not fighting and hand picking their like favorite matchups. It's like, nah. I remember, bro, or not even I remember, but I just remember fucking listening to a podcast with Rampage Jackson and him saying, it's like, yo, dude, you weren't allowed to turn down fights like when I was fighting, bro.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we have this date for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And then if you say no, then you're on ice. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's it. It's like, but essentially it's like yes or no. No, like, okay, we have these 3 opponents, like fucking, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, yo, we have this date for you, bada bing. Let's go. If you're not ready, bro, on ice. You know what I'm saying? You're getting dicked around.
It's got to be that way because in no other sport do you really have the opportunity to turn down opponents like that. Like it's a very unique thing. I know, combat sports as a whole, especially boxing, obviously there's a lot of like match picking and trying to find, the ideal matchup for your fighter. And that's where the management gets really heavy. And obviously in boxing, you try to pad a record early so that way they have 20-0. That way they're coming into those kind of bigger fights with a name already. I get that. But like even jujitsu, right? If you go and sign up for a local Naga or Grappling Industries or whatever, you get put in a bracket and they say that's your guy, and then you fight that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like football, you get 16 weeks ahead of time. They say week 1 you're fighting that, or you're playing against them. Week 2 you're playing them. Week 3 you can't say, oh well, we don't really want to play them on week 4. It's like that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how
that
it
doesn't fucking
is.
matter.
Like
Yeah,
in no
that's
other
a sport.
sport can you cherry pick to the extent that we've seen recently in the UFC, where it's almost entirely like ideal matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I get it because there's a lot on the line, right? If you go into a fight and you know that there's a good chance that you might lose and you might lose and get injured, that makes sense. Maybe you don't want that matchup. But at the same time, you also are a combat sports athlete and you know that the risk of doing your sport is getting injured. Like that is it's an inherent part of the sport is harm, right?
Yeah, dude, this is why I want fighters in my sport, not fucking athletes, bro. Like it's a fight, it's a fighting, it's a combat sport at the end of the day. I want
Yeah.
people like Justin Gaethje. I want people like Dan Hooker. I want people like Dustin Poirier, like Max
Yeah.
Holloway. Like Yuri Prohaska. Like
Mhm.
what, bro? They're trying to win, bro. They're trying to get in there and fucking fight. They just want to compete at the end of the day, bro. They love the violence. Jack Della Maddalena, bro.
Yeah.
People that just love
But
fucking scrapping.
we also have to recognize that they are athletes to
Oh,
the
they're
highest
definitely
extent.
athletes.
To the
Mhm.
highest extent, right? But they are fighters first and then athletes second, I think.
Yeah.
In the sense of they became athletes to get better at the other thing rather than like athletes that decided to do karate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think there needs to be some serious like fucking meetings to be had, bro. Because I feel like it's really hard to like keep that motivation of a fan. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It's getting rough.
Yeah.
It's getting
Mhm.
rough where it's like week to week, consistently just feeling hoed.
Yeah, hold all the time, bro.
Dude, like, they get a good card every now and then, and sometimes you get a card that you think is going to be shit, and it's awesome, and that happens too. But like week over week, it's very difficult to get excited before it happens. Like once the
Yeah,
fights
dude.
are happening, like I'll tune in and yeah, I'll probably be entertained, and there's probably some good fights there. But like to go tell my friends, like, yo, dude, you
Mhm.
got to tune into the fucking fights this weekend. Oh yeah, who's fighting? It's like, it's an Apex card. Nobody.
Fucking Hani Barcelos is fighting, bro. He's coming off a Peyton Talbot win. Right? It's
And
like,
they're like, oh, dude, who's that? And you're like,
he's fighting
oh,
in the fucking Apex, bro. They're
yeah,
fighting at the Apex, bro. They're fighting in Dana White's basement. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Uncle Dana's
fucking
basement, bro.
yeah. And then another thing too, and I think that kind of contributes to all of this is like the fighters being independent contractors. It makes a big deal because it's like,
Yeah,
it's like fucking Peyton Talbot could go in there and fight once a year, bro, and then he's probably cool living in Frank Ocean's fucking basement, and like, yeah, fucking, he can go out there and fight once a year, and then it's like it's all good, and he's holding his ranking spot, just fighting
yeah,
once a year. Like he didn't get beat up that fucking bad against Tony Barcelos. Why doesn't he have a fight right now?
that's a good point. It's been a
It's
long
like,
time since that loss.
and I don't want to
To
pick on
hear
Peyton Talbot.
nothing. To hear nothing.
But like he's just one of those fighters that come to mind when I'm like, oh, who only fights like once a fucking year?
Yeah.
And
Zahabi.
then
Zahabi was notorious for that up until I think this year was the first time that he fought more than once in a year.
yeah, Cody Garbrandt, these kind of people like that. It's like, I know you're on the roster floating around somewhere, bro. Like, why am I seeing Marc-Andre Barriault fight fucking 6 times before I see Cody Garbrandt fight once? You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
It's like, why am I
and
seeing
that's why I'm a fucking Joshua fan. A Joshua Van fan, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this guy fights every week and he's
bro
gonna
fights
kill it,
every
be killed.
weekend and he's consistently winning. He's good, dude. And
I
I
don't know
think
about
part of it's
consistently
because
winning.
of that activity.
I don't know about consistently winning, but he's putting on fun fights.
Hey, dog. I think he's on a win streak.
I'm not
not.
He's on a win streak right now, dude. But I remember when he was on a loss streak.
Okay.
That wasn't too long ago.
Hey,
that was like 2 weeks ago, dude. He was
a believer,
on a
brother.
loss streak, dude. He
I
fights
think
often.
he's a future title champ.
Hey, me too, man. He has some slick boxing, and if the fighter's not like significantly taller than him and has like a crazy reach, and he's a small flyweight, bro.
Yeah.
But he has the skills to be a problem. But he also gets chinned. So I've seen it happen. I've seen him get badly knocked out like a couple of times.
Fair.
So that being said, though, dude, yeah, I feel like, the fighter activity needs to step up. I feel like matchmaking needs to improve. I feel like they need to start cracking the fucking whip, dude. I feel like they're just letting shit just fucking fly over there, and they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just fucking have Macy Barber and fucking Aaron Blanchfield main event this weekend, I guess. Like fucking,
sure.
Dude, figure your shit out, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like we'll have Sean O'Malley on a card and then like fucking one other ranked fight on the, you know, on there. It's like maybe two other ranked fights. We'll have fucking what was that? Marvin Vettori versus Brandon Allen as like a fucking
that was a main event.
Co-main event, bro. It's like something like that in fucking New Orleans. Trying to get us hyped for that, dude.
That's wild.
It's
really
just like,
yeah, we're at a very weird point. I don't know, because I think there's this big emphasis on spectacle, right? I think ever since the Sphere, we've kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
I don't give a fuck about any of that, bro.
I know,
want,
but
like good matchups.
I think that was
fighters.
the turning point, bro. I think the Sphere might have been that turning point where the UFC's like, they're never gonna, in their heads, top that event. So it's just like it all fucking is downhill from here, and the Avalanche is just turning into a fucking yard sale.
Or maybe they lost so much money on the Sphere because Dana White just talked.
They just can't pay anybody anymore.
Like, yo, guys, we use all our budget, boys. We gotta have fucking no ranked fighters are fighting for 6 months, bro. He's like, you're having one ranked fighter on the card and maybe a title fight on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Start looking in Europe. Give me some names from Europe.
That might be a women's title fight too. It's probably gonna be, bro. You're gonna get Alexa Grasso versus Valentina 4.
Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it's rough. It's rough to be a fan right now.
Yeah, it's hard out here, man. It's hard out here for UFC fans.
You know, if you search hard enough, you find the gems like King of the Streets that keep it entertaining for the rest of us.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start fucking finding my favorite King of the Streets fighters, bro.
So we might start doing King of the Streets breakdowns here soon.
Yeah, breakdowns, dude. Yeah, exactly. They're about to have their first women's King of the Streets fight. I'm stoked for that.
Oh shit, that's fucking aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
I
don't love that.
It's gonna be on somebody's private yacht, bro. Just fighting in the middle of the ocean.
Put him out on a fucking beam in the middle.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, dude. You flatline him, do the Frankenstein KO in the middle of the ocean.
Into the ocean.
There's a helicopter that like medivacs him out, like in the video.
Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Dude, they're the ones that are gonna do shit like that. It's like, okay, we're gonna have this fight on top of a building, like those buildings where the helicopter helipads at, you know. So it's just like you can't see no railings or anything. You just see the sky. God. They're gonna have a fight there.
Dude, I hope so, bro. Well, you know, let us know down in the comments if you want us to become a King of the Streets page, because we're fucking close at this point, boys. So
yeah, dude,
like, comment, subscribe down below. Let us know your favorite King of the Streets fighters and where they should fight next. And the next time the UFC decides to do something cool, maybe we'll talk about it. But we will catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
What fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
the highest fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.